after our grid lines are out, before I start shading the actual eye itself, I want to get all the shading that is necessary around the eye. And almost all of you, at least on one side or both, are going to have some shading in the orbital bone section. Now, how I'm going to do that is the same way I've shaded everything else, except what I want you to kind of think and consider when you're blending. On the forehead, I was trying to really smooth things out, so I'm going in all different types of directions. Around the eye, I want to kind of pretend like I am literally touching my own face and trying to drag the charcoal around my actual face. For those of you who've played around with makeup, almost like you're putting on some sort of eyeshadow or any sort of thing where a cream where you would follow the contours of that part of your face. So as you see my dragging my finger, I'm dragging it to kind of pull it across over here. I'm working it in and around this sort of crevice like I was just rubbing my eye. It was irritating and I'm rubbing it. Underneath on the lower part of the lid, I'm kind of following along with that contour. That first time I go through this, all right, a lot of that charcoal is going to come off on my finger. I am pressing that into the paper to try to get it into the texture. This second time around, I want to make things darker. Just like I just said, like the first time I'm blending, I'm pressing down really hard. The second time I'm blending, I'm just kind of like lightly sort of just dragging my finger over it. And that way, I'm going to keep more of that charcoal on the paper and less of it wiping off on my finger. If you start to lose the edges of your brow over there, of your eye, that's not the worst thing in the world. But I don't want to mess with the area above that's sort of done. Now we're going to go into the only part that I'm going to tell you is okay to outline. Now, for some of you, I really want to, so I'll say it again and over again, resist the urge to put in your eyelashes. If you have very dark and very prominent eyelashes, I will help you and show you how to do those. But otherwise, right now, we can't get that kind of detailing with charcoal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just make a heavy outline on where that top lid and the lashes go. If you should have a little bit of charcoal dust, feel free to just blow it out of the way. To blend that, I am very delicately going to put my finger on top of it and just drag my finger across it one time to kind of redraw it with my finger, pressing a little bit of it into the paper. Some of that will come off. I'm going to go ahead and darken it, especially on the inside part where I see it darker. You're going to have your eyelid itself. The crease from the lid is the only other place that we're going to do a little bit of an outline. Now on the inside part of that eye where there's more shadow, that's a thicker, darker line. But as we work our way out to the edge, and this is the only place we're going to use the charcoal like a pencil, we want to kind of make it at least a little thinner, and if not thinner, lighter. Again, very lightly, I'm putting my finger on top of this, and I'm literally just dragging it across one time. You might find you need to shape that up a little bit. If you do, take your kneaded eraser, pinch yourself a little bit of an edge, and you can get there and clean it up. Mine was pretty good. I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to kind of shape up this part just a little bit. And do you think I should blend that now? No, because if I want to keep it dark, I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to work out from the tear duct. Her eye in the photo on this side is not white. It has a little bit of value. Some people's will be darker, some people's will be lighter, but it all depends on how the light's hitting you. I'm going to put a little bit of gray over that part. I'm going to go ahead and after I've grayed up the white of the eye, I'm just going to shape up and touch up that tear duct. Now I'm going to go to the iris part. This side of the white of the eye is pretty white in the picture, so I'm going to leave it alone. Her eye is catching a little bit of light, okay? A little bit of reflection. Color of her eye is not jet black. That being said, I am shading in the entire thing, one dark semicircle. I'm going to lightly pat that in. If I need to get in with my eraser and shape it up, again, I'm pinching that eraser into a clean edge, and I'll clean up any areas that I kind of felt got out of the circle. Now to make it look a little bit more like the picture, I could see some light and some reflection here. I could see some light on the underside of that. I take my kneaded eraser, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch myself a little bit of almost like a pencil point. And I'm going to use that to kind of draw back in to the eye. Just lightly dragging it over here to kind of pick up a little bit of the charcoal. Now, it's not going to erase completely, it's just going to lighten it. If I need to make it even a little lighter, I'm going to take that pencil point and wedge out another clean little bit. And I'm going to come in and get that little lightness. This is what you would do if you have a little dot of white in your eye from a reflection. Now to make this even stand out more, I'm going to come back in. The center of this eye should be a little bit darker. Just like I was talking about with the brows, when I kind of darken it after I blended it in, I'm not going to go back in there and blend that too much. I can spend a little time trying to look for where there's some more darkness in there, usually at the top, but I'm not making stuff up. I'm simply just going by what I see in the picture. If I feel like I could see a little bit more of the edge, or that sort of corona ring around the iris, the very edge of it gets a little bit darker, I might add a little bit more, but this is not how to draw an eye right now. This is simply shading in what I see. If I see some more little reflections like on the side over here, again, pinching my kneaded eraser into a point, I can go in there and kind of try to catch a little bit of some of that. I don't think that I need to try to get the reflection of me in the eyeballs here, but I'll go ahead and put a couple little dots there. For the lower lid of the lashes, I am going to go in and just do a light outline. Okay? Carefully with your finger, just gently drag it across that to push it in. And then look for any other areas that need to be a little bit darker. This is for many of us the first go around of doing this. Alright? Maybe the first time you've done something like this with charcoal. I'm going to implore you ladies, please don't start drawing intense eyelashes on this. It ends up looking a little cartoony. I don't think they necessarily need it. And if you really feel like your lashes are a huge part of the picture, ask me and I will help you out with a little bit of that. Alright, but I don't really think you should put them in. And if you do put them in, I think that you should at least get me to kind of help you do that. Why is that? Because if you did a great job on the eye and then you screwed up these eyelashes, in all honesty, there's a lot of redoing that we have to kind of do. And there's no really way to fix it easily. Okay? Forget about lower ones, work on the shading around the eye. Before I move myself onto the other side, I would kind of finish up the shading that I see in and around the bridge of the nose. I wouldn't work my way all the way down the bridge of the nose, but I certainly would take care of this now, and then I'll go ahead and do the other eye. Now, one eye has absolutely nothing to do with the other. This one on the other side appears lighter, but I'm going to still approach it the same exact way. Work on the shading in and around this eye. Work on the corner of the eye. Outline the eyelashes and the crease. Blend those in gently. Color in the shade in the entire iris. Blend it in and then use the eraser to sort of crispen it up. This is a nice delicate piece over here. All right. This required a lot of energy and care. Don't put your work on top of someone else's in that rack. Don't destroy the hard efforts of your classmates. Don't destroy your own work. When you clean up at the end of the period, please make sure that you're putting your stuff in its own